So it seems we've got enough people in at the moment. I'm sure there'll be more joining us as well. So I think there's over 500 people that signed up to come in and listen to the discussion and get involved with the Q&A. So today I'm really pleased to be joined by Jannik Schumann of Basec. And today's topic is going to be on appropriate security awareness within a business. One of the most fundamental and basic sort of areas that doesn't really get enough attention. So something I'm really pleased to be involved with again, albeit in a different format as well. As mentioned, please do keep your questions coming. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the session, which we estimate will probably be somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes. Also, the recording for anybody who wants to watch it again will be made available via our website. We'll get that mailed out to anybody who hasn't been able to attend. Please do share that as well. So quick introductions. If you've not been on one of these before, my name is Burhan. I'm the Director of Zync. We are a cybersecurity specialist talent solutions provider globally. And I'm joined here again, Jannik Schumann of Basec. Jannik's got 10 years of consulting experience within the cybersecurity sector. We have crossed paths, unbeknownst to me until this morning, through various areas he's been involved in within Germany, in organisations securing security posture and so on and so forth. So very pleased to have Jannik. I will hand it over to you to crack on.
Thanks, Burhan, and thanks for the nice introduction. I'm really pleased to be here today talking about people and how they are often the weakest link in a security system. No matter how sophisticated the security technology and processes are, they can be compromised if individuals within the organization fail to follow security policies and procedures or fall victim to social engineering tactics by hackers. A strong security culture that prioritizes security awareness and education can help reduce the risk of human error and improve the overall security posture. So hi, my name is Jannik Schumann. I'm founder of the Basec company, and I'm really glad today talking about the human factor within the security culture. So let us just jump into the presentation. First of all, talking about the culture. We usually talk about people and culture as one of our major drivers in security. But why is it so important? We need definitely to talk about this. And culture itself and how we interact with culture and each other defines us as human beings. Culture is subject of involvement of each other and also how we evolve over time. But culture also has potential dangers. While culture can be a powerful tool to enhance security, it can also have potential dangers. One of the key dangers is that strong security culture can sometimes lead to a culture for fear and distrust employees. So we really need to be aware what to set up, what to do as a security department, and how to influence the culture in the company. So let's understand what culture in general is. So it can be defined as shared beliefs, values, customs, behaviors, or artifacts that characterize a group of society. And it also encompasses the way people live, think, interact with each other, and it also includes aspects like our languages, our religions, food, music we share to each other, and other social norms. So culture is often passed down from generation to generation to generation, not only in society, but also in the company itself. And it is constantly evolving and adapting over the time. So it can vary widely between different regions, different nations, ethnic groups, and also different companies. And this is why a company needs to amplify stability in their culture. There needs to be a clear structure of what they are living for, what they are standing for, and they need to emphasize this culture in all aspects of what they are doing. This culture is then therefore recognized as a pattern And this pattern is something we as a security department need to focus and target on. Otherwise, the individuals being part of this pattern, being part of this culture, are at risk at all time. And we need to manage this risk as a security department as one of our key benefits we can nowadays influence. So how can we influence a culture, or how can we set up a culture, first of all? So on the left side of the screen, you can see how culture in a company is generally set up. So what you do first, you look at what is your core of 5 forces, for example, your company is acting within, and then you align your own vision, your own mission with the overall goals of the company. And then you need to communicate your culture. Think about how many CIOs, how many CEOs are talking about how the way they want to do something and less how they want to achieve it. This is a big difference talking about the culture and how to lead a company in this area of culture. And this really defines great leaders. They lead by example, they fit into the culture they define, and they want to be shown and recognized for this culture. And hence, there will be a collaboration, inclusivity. So if you're a leader within this culture, you want to give everyone the chance to participate in this group, in this area. And you want to recognize those people being part of this culture. And you want to make them being a positively way standing out of what they are contributing to. So this is, let's say, how in a rough way you can say a culture is influenced and set up. And on the right side, you find how usually the security department is introducing a security culture. They are basically putting out policies, giving them to the employee who need to sign them when they start off their employship. And that's all. So the employee itself is forced to read it if they do so. And that's the interaction they get from the security department. And the security department make a checks on it and says, yes, we have our job been done. So is this enough to deal with the human factor in our security chain? The German regulation says so it's not enough. Here, for example, you can see for German specific, but also European-wide, the same standard for the banking industry. There are regulatory requirements you need to comply to, the so-called BAIT, die bankenaufsichtliche Anforderungen an die IT in German. And there are like nearly 100 control statements in there with the higher standards you can nearly achieve in security. And I put just some out here. So in the right corner, in the upper right corner, you kind of find one of the first statements overall. You need to have a senior management buy-in. So you need your CEO, your CIO being within your security program a big part, playing a big role. So he needs, as a leader, as a CEO, sign off the whole security program. They need to lead it. They need to emphasize security as a person, not only by a signature. And also the other parts around here are playing a crucial role to emphasize the security culture. So it's not only us, the security guys, trying to achieve a high security standard, but also from an outside-in perspective, the BaFin is requesting the companies, the banks, to comply to such standards. So if we now know that it is really important to do so, to have a security culture in place, and we know that external factors force us to have this in place, how is it actually being done? So what you can see here is a roughly number how many people in your company actually read your policies. It's roughly 13%. And I think this is already a high number. And I guess from this 13%, maybe half of this percentage comes from your own department who is writing those policies. So in the end, I guess like 5 up to 10% in your company are aware of the compliance requirements they need to comply to. And even if they are aware of such things, how can I assure as a security department that on a daily basis, the decisions they put out are reflected within the security area of responsibility? So basically just putting out a framework, just putting out policies they need to comply to is one of the least effective learning methods I just stated here. So reading, which you can find on the left side, is one of the worst way to remember things. You actually want to have this trend, you want to have this interactive, be transported to the employees. And then the best way you want to do this on a regular basis to get the highest involvement as possible with the employees. So putting our framework or policies aside, it's nice to have them. It's nice for the auditors to have policies. It's nice for yourself to have policies. So you have always your desk clean from your requirements you need to fulfill. But we want to have an effective awareness on the ground. We want to have effective employees deciding on a daily basis what is right and what is not right to do. So we as the security department, we set out incentives and additional pull and push factors to distribute our important and key messages to our specific groups of employees. So I guess it's not fair enough to say this is a policy and now I'm doing a training, I'm talking with you about the policy and now everyone in the company knows it. You need to specify the group of people you are talking to, like HR department or the DevOps team or the marketing team. And you really need to focus on what their daily business looks like and how security plays a crucial role in their day-to-day business. And then from this starting point onwards, you can develop a really, really nice awareness training for those employees. So let's do this here in this presentation. How can we interact appropriately with this all different areas of people in our company? So we have marketing team, we have our C-level suite, we have young people, we have old people, we have those doing a lot of crazy stuff every day. Like in the marketing team, they have so many external suppliers, they have so many tools in place. And while dealing with those, we want really the marketing team to do their best in marketing while complying to security standards. So the highest employee I want to target is the young ones. Why is it so? The Bundesamt für Sicherheit in der Informationstechnik, the German Institution for Security, find out 2 years ago on a broadly brought out phishing campaign that those who are best targeted are actually the young people who are really fast on clicking. Maybe me included, I'm also quite young employee, but especially those who are nearly new to a professional environment, who are like just a couple of years aware of how to behave or involve in such a big company as maybe the big fours are. So those employees were really fast on taking pictures, posting this on LinkedIn, making comments on communities, not being aware that they are now part of a big company with their security environment. This is really a high risk for our security department to deal with. And this is also, you can find it down as a number, one of the main drivers for security breaches is still, and a rising factor is the human. So still 23%, and it's still growing actually. So we see this number every year growing. And one factor why it is growing is because the security department tend to focus on policies, frameworks they set up. They are really, really nice doing on procedures. They are really nice from the technical perspective. We can harm nearly every system. But talking to people in our company, and I really mean talking and to embrace those people to live security. This means having a lot of meetings in your calendar, just talking to different people out there, and to emphasize a really, really nice security culture so that they can come to you and talk to you whenever they have some issue. And this is also what the BSI, again, the Bundesamt für Sicherheit in der Informationstechnik, the German Institution for Security, is really emphasizing. So they brought out last year a report where you can see that a rough number of employees who inform themselves about security measures is at a number of 40%. This includes their private space, This includes maybe their starting page, which is the intranet from your company, where you see some latest news. But there's a question about if they understand the full program of security measures they need to comply to. I guess the second number, the upper blue one, is also interesting. Just roughly a quarter or a fifth of all employees didn't ever inform themselves about anything. So you need to think about, how can I achieve those people who are by now not effectively trained or informed about our security measures. But what you see when they are hacked, when they are really relating to a security incident, all of those people get activated. They share each other information about it. Like, just think about a phishing campaign in your company is carried out. You can be sure that after 5 minutes, the chattering starts. Do you see this email? Do you see this one? Don't click. It's like this. So they're really good in sharing knowledge about it, and they want to share and they want to contribute if there is a really an effect for them into this. So I put out basically 5 numbers who I think are really key to put out in order to find a really nice awareness campaign. So you want to talk whenever you talk to those people, and it doesn't depend if you are talking on the C-level or the heads of, or just the marketing manager, or just someone who is starting over after their bachelor degrees, or at all. You need to win their people's mind and heart. You need to refer security not as a department who is judging them, but a department who is helping them on a daily basis, doing their business at their best while be secure. For example, you want to help a product manager who's carrying out, for example, the next crypto campaign. You do not want to say them, you need to stop it. There's no way that we can do this from Germany or from Europe because we need to comply to the DSGVO, the GDPR requirement. No. You want, as a security department, to understand what they are striving for and to enable them by doing so. So this is what is also about awareness. You need to understand their goals and help them to reach their goals by being secure. So you need to speak their language. You need to understand what they are striving for, and you need to understand how you can best support this. And you need to make it therefore understandable. If you say so, please choose a strong security password to onboard on our application. I guess we know what this means. It needs to be, or has in the best case, 8 characters, different characters, needs to be changed every 90 days. Best case, you have multi-factor authentication. But while talking to an employee, to a new one, saying, okay, you need to have a strong password, you can hope so that he introduced strong passwords also to other websites, but you need to talk to their language, saying, okay, let's put out a phrase together you can remember really nice and take the first letter of every word to put out a really strong password you can remember, right? Or go ahead to the next step. If you understand, okay, this password management is really key for our company. We have so many applications our employees need to log in. Come to a solution. Think about single sign-on. Think about password-less authentication. There are so many ways you can help your employees to be not only aware, but to be compliant to security. It's not their fault if they use a weak password. It's your fault as a security department. You didn't train your employees well, or you have the wrong solution in place. So whenever an employee, for example, or just imagine, there's an example, you put out a phishing campaign and one employee is clicking on it, right? You don't want to judge any one of them. It also could happen for you that you click on it. There are really nice one out there you can feel victim to. But what you want to do is to help them to find a solution immediately. And even if they do an alert to you saying, hey, I'm sorry, but I clicked on this email and I even put in my credentials on this bad website, you need to really be grateful and for employees talking so honestly to you. This is where security is being established. When they immediately react and are announcing this incident to you or your colleagues, or make a ticket out of it, the time from where they get recognized until it is closed, this is your KPI. And being informed is one of your key part as a security department to take this KPI as a much low number to get over it. And then the other factor is gamification. So whenever you can do so, make it a challenge every day, make it look like fun to deal security issues, and try to make them as security ambassadors. Try to find in every team someone who is supporting you on your mission to do the best to be secure, and someone who has their eyes open to look on a daily basis what the team maybe can do on a better way the next week. So talking about awareness as a whole, I like to believe this is an ongoing process where we see currently, as a result, where we have so many incidents and security breaches just because we have a really, really poor awareness. We need to do something different. We really need to do. Let's put our frameworks aside. Let's put our policies aside. They are not effective talking about awareness for the human factor at all. So understanding now the as-is situation, it is an ongoing process to always go the next step to explore, design, and develop a really nice, appropriate awareness campaign and a program who is constantly evolving. All your employees, all the specific groups of interest you have, you need to understand in order to put out a security awareness in the end. So coming to an end here, this is my favorite question I like to talk about while traveling through Germany and the world. And this is the question maybe we can also elaborate together on. Please help me understand. So we all know the counterparties in our supply chain. We all know our third-party risk management is a really increasing factor we need to deal with. But how is awareness in these counterparties being addressed so far? I guess it's not addressed overall. So talking about workplace and supplier diversity, as it is now on the forefront nowadays, beyond this ethical and moral benefits we have from it, we need to protect us against an increasingly broad range of weak security suppliers and human layers out there. But how can we manage people in other companies, which is not part of our companies, but part of the supply chain? Think about it, as well as my last side I always love to bring, that is coming from Albert Einstein, saying that not the world is threatened by the people who are evil, but by those who allow evil to happen. So thanks guys for listening to me, listening to what I'm talking about security culture, and I really like to see what is going on questions here. Burhan, can you put us through?
So thank you very, very much for that, Jannik. I've made some notes on some very interesting points that I would like to get some more information on now if time permits. But I'd like to open it up to any and all viewers that would like to. We've had some comments, some interesting comments come through. I'd like to maybe pick one or two of those as well. So if anyone's got any questions or any comments, please put them in the comments box. As many as you can, and if there's time is not available, we'll answer the questions. We'll give you our thoughts over an email. We should have your information to get in touch as well. So once again, Jannik, thank you for that. So a couple of very interesting points that I picked up from there. Number one, I was very interested in the learning methods. So with your sort of core interaction being sort of small to medium-sized enterprises, that is sort of the bulk of clientele, I guess somebody like Basec might interact with at this time. And the learning methods, you said reading is sort of 10% retention of knowledge and effectiveness, and then it sort of goes up till you get to the point of actually training it yourself and executing it. So with that in mind, a lot of companies who aren't cybersecurity centric, they might be a supplier to any industry and they've got nothing to do with cybersecurity, but they are a target for phishing, any kind of malicious campaign, or even the human factor of human error, which is surprisingly very high at 23%, very worryingly high. How do you get a small to medium-sized enterprise business and all of its staff to take part in training and executing that themselves?
Yeah, it's a good question. So especially talking about small and medium companies, what you often see is a really small security department who's struggling to put out the security requirements itself. So this is where we put a lot of solutions out there, just putting effectiveness and speed of security onto the road and help the companies to overcome some weaknesses. And those companies lacking of resources to provide security on an adequate level onto the street, they nearly, in the best case, would find a mixture of providing regular security trainings. There are some really nice providers out there who do so. But also on yourself, you can do an education for everyone who is joining the company. You can introduce yourself on a C-level statement saying, I'm the CISO. Whenever you have any questions, please contact me. There's an open door. We are not here to judge on you, but to support you on your mission in this company. And we are always there helping you. But by the way, there are some security policies and procedures I have here. Please read them carefully, understand them, and if there are any questions, come to me. So this is already going a road of open communication and environment, and helping those people understanding that they can relate to you is really, really important to see this as you being a person, you being the human factor as well in this culture, someone who is trying to embrace security as well, but only with the help of the others. For sure, you put out security measures there. For sure, there are some punishments. There will be. There's no way around it. But the way how you carry them out, it's definitely on the CISO to decide. And I want to embrace all securities out there, security guys, to take an appropriate level of communication. It's not top down, it's not bottom up, but it's on eye to eye level with every employee.
Yes, it's very interesting on that point you just finished off on there, because I made a note that you mentioned that really the emphasis of the education has got to be on the younger employees or the up and coming employees, and that seems to be where a greater risk is, because they interact a lot more with the online environment. They're more susceptible to these threats. So when we've talked on similar topics with other people before, the generalization has been it's got to be a top-down culture. It's got to come from the top and be filtered down. But I think it's really refreshing to hear it's not really. It's an eye-to-eye thing. It's everybody's in together. Everybody's as capable or culpable as each other. So a very interesting point. And I see even more now that the word culture is so appropriate, because it must be weaved into the DNA of the company's identity itself. I mean, your company, my company, every company out there has its own, values and mission, and this is important for it to be woven in. My business might be involved in security, but there's more businesses out there that don't have anything to do with security, but it should be an important piece to be woven in for the protection of that organization. Yes. I think not enough companies take it seriously enough until it's become a problem. And I think what we should be preaching out there, the gospel we should be shouting from the mountaintops, is that prevention is better than cure. It's much more expensive, much more headache to deal with a situation once you've let it become a situation. So how do we get this awareness out to not so much the naysayers, but the uninitiated? How do we convert the hearts and minds of, you know, small to business business owners and large enterprise owners who haven't yet sort of embraced us?
So how we can embrace security in this security organization?
So in short, let me rephrase that. So companies who aren't yet, who maybe right now don't have an emphasis on any kind of security because they're not involved in it, it's not part of their business. So any company, Joe Blogg's company, in any sector, how do we give them the prevention to something happening? Because it's usually those types of companies who don't have any kind of security focus, maybe not even a security team, maybe don't even outsource it. How do we reach these people now before they come looking for me and you and say we've got a problem? Because that would be where you want to get the organisation, right? You want to help them.
Definitely.
So how do we reach them?
So culture is always defined how is the leader of a group is emphasizing different aspects in the company. So the leader in a company for sure is the CIO, the CEO, the C-level suite, and we need to talk to them. And what we see like the last, let's say, 5 years is an increasing awareness in this C-leader suite, where they are now referring to colleagues saying, okay, one of my other CEO out there had an incident and they are now broke. Their company is not running anymore. So they now get a bigger understanding, a greater understanding that security costs a lot of money. There are barely measurable benefits from security spendings. But on the other hand, you can prevent your company from being disrupted and get in the ones within months or sometimes within weeks. So talking about a budget, having 5% of the IT budget from the overall company is an appropriate way to measure how much you can do on your security side from a company. But I also like to have this metaphor in place where talking about a train. So if you're on a train and you stop feeding the train with energy, the train will move on but get more slowly. But whenever you decide to take the train back on speed, it will take you more energy as long as you decide to put less energy in. So what I encourage always is the CEO and CIO to think about security as being a crucial part for the business environment to be secured. And especially, I guess, like the last 12, 13, 14 months, where we have this special environment in Europe. I guess what is going out there in the internet is somehow referable, saying we are on a constant war with our company, protecting our most valuable assets. And if we do not have the right weapons and shields in place, and awareness is one factor of it, it's really difficult to protect these assets.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm just going to move into the questions that we've had come in from the attendees. Thank you, everybody who has entered there. There's quite a few. So I think there's a question here from Abdullah. I think it relates to another question from Robert as well. It's kind of the same question, I think. So I've heard this before. There is, in some organizations, a culture of paranoia or finger pointing towards the security team. So Abdullah's put it very nicely. What would you say to an organization that their department is not even ready to have a collaboration with security because they think you will intrude their privacy and monitor their activities?
Yes. Always refer to working on the same goal. Yes, you choose everyone is deciding what privacy means for themselves. But as a security department, you need to put out some measures to see whether there's an USB plugged in, to see whether there are made screenshots from your assets or stuff like this. So even not knowing employees, you are doing maybe sometimes stuff you as a friend wouldn't do to another friend, right? So this is already starting to interact with the privacy understanding of people around you. But when it comes to collaboration and talking about to put down threads from silos to security being engaged in discussions from the beginning onwards, this is really one of the most difficult part. So thinking about in a bank or in big companies, there are requirements out there that security need to be involved whenever there's a new project started. But think about what time is it? Well, the project manager itself need to think about when to involve security. And mostly it is happening when they reach a certain quality gate saying, okay, have you done your security concept? And they were thinking like, okay, next week we want to go live. What is the security concept? I need to talk to the security department. And this is where you need to relate to those guys saying, okay, I have my special groups of interest and I will talk to them in business cases saying, okay, if you want to do your work great and straight away in a faster manner, you need to involve us as fast as possible and understand we're not putting out requirements you need to fulfill. We develop how you fulfill those requirements for you. Always thinking about we do a service in a company. We are part of the company as also all the other departments, and our clients as the security departments are those other departments. So it is a service we contribute and we want to have our customers being happy. And if you think this way, it is not like being down leveled or up leveled in any way, but thinking about my clients need to be happy and to understand what my service looks like so that they can get the best out of it, right? So marketing team is coming to you saying, we're doing a new web campaign on our website. We are having now this new website. Can you do a bug bounty program for this website? Doesn't make too much sense, but let's think about this situation. Then you say, okay, yeah, I will set it up and whatever. Try to be engaging as much as possible with them, trying to be thankful whenever they come on an early stage to you and make them feel good coming to you.
Okay, I think Robert's also contributed to a very good answer for the same question from Abdullah. Thank you, Robert. He's suggested that you can include the monitoring information in the policy, and it's likely that for every good organisation that should be in that kind of size of organisation, you kind of expect that within a policy as well, and it must be fair within the bounds of the law. I expect that's what you're alluding to, and very, very clearly put as well on a company managed device. You probably don't want to have your personal information, personal emails, browser history, and all that kind of stuff. I think maybe there's some onus of the business itself should be in there as well. That there should be, and I think even in my organisation there are certain restrictions put onto devices as well. Places you can go on the internet and places you can't go, and all the antivirus kind of stuff as well. So thank you for that as well, Robert. So another question, this one from Robert again, is our main contributor today. Maybe we should have you on next, I think. Do you think an XDR solution would create a great awareness as incidents arise? Very, very good question.
Yes, I believe that these detection and response systems or solutions can create a greater awareness as security incidents arises. So those solutions are designed to provide enhanced visibility and detection across multiple layers in your organization or company, and helping include network, endpoint, cloud infrastructure. And by consolidating all this data, which is gathered by those systems, you get a holistic and deeper understanding about what is going on in your company. So it helps yourself to get a better feedback, a better overview about what is going on. But this is also solely your department learning from those solutions. So they can provide centralized dashboards, they can display alerts, They can do KPIs for you, which is really, really important for your daily business. But they will just help you to put out maybe in the next step then in better awareness campaign, saying, okay, I see the marketing campaign, sorry about always referring to marketing department, right? There's nothing personal going on there, but my previous experience, they are really fast in doing things. So if I see persons using their external storage devices in a really often and not allowable way, the XDR solution can help me to find this out and to target those groups, talking to them and give them some learnings.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. So very, very, very good question. Please, guys, we're on for a few more minutes, so any questions, any and all questions, comments, please keep them coming through. I've got another one for you that's come to mind as well. So the danger of evolving threats is sort of where I'm going to go with this one. So just like with antivirus software, it's constantly updated, and it works incredibly well with the danger of evolving sort of threats from that perspective. Now, a lot of organizations are guilty of using the security policy, reading of the GDPR policy, and even getting a certificate as just a tick box exercise for new employees. They do it once, you get the tick box, you've had your induction, and everybody's happy. But clearly, being in the cybersecurity industry, I see some of these evolving threats, and they're getting so smart. Even just the basic phishing campaigns are getting so smart. And being in the industry, it's easier for me to spot them and to do my due diligence because it's my business, right? But how do we maintain, just like updates with an antivirus software that does it all for you, how do we update and maintain the moving landscape and the evolving threats to our people within our organizations? Because we can't, for a business who's not cyber security focused, as I keep mentioning, do we give them a weekly update in a newsletter? Do we give them a weekly training? It seems a bit too much. So how do we do that effectively and not make that, the main part of the business? How do we do that effectively and concisely?
Yeah, I think informing yourself as a CISO about what is going on, what are the technology standards you want to use in your company, what are the main risks for your risk profile as a company. It is definitely good and important to seek for exchanges. There are nearly for every area of company you are doing your business in, any roundtables where you can exchange information, understand better how others are doing things, and get a better learning out of it. And looking from an outside in perspective, now inside in, talking about you as a CISO, how you can keep up with the steady involvement or evolving of your company and what is out there from techniques like cloudification and stuff like this. What I have done so far as being a CISO in a company, putting whenever there are high risk events in place where you see, okay, we see currently going on, there's a spam wave targeting us, you put out an effective communication to those and don't fear any attention for your department. But I like to put out twice or third too much information, but being too less specific. So I want that people can relate to the risk we are currently facing as a company. So if you have, for example, spam, this is one area where if you are doing now due diligence because of merger and acquisition, you want to make those employees being aware of there's maybe a specific reason why other companies are currently looking into our systems, or if there's a shitstorm going on the marketing team, you want to be aware and train them that they as a person can also be targeted. And so I don't like newsletter. sending out every month what are the latest news. I think this is, going back to the presentation, one of the least effective way of communication. But talking about latest news, talking about what is currently really in the mind of the people and talking with them, doing discussion topics on this is really a good issue. And yeah, internal hackathons, stuff like this, but this is maybe something a lot of company tries to do, but also lacking of participation. So it's difficult for a CISO to contribute for the latest into the company, but whenever there are some threats or risks arising, I guess it is important to communicate to your team and to the team overall in the companies.
Amazing, very, very good answer. I really like a comment just on this question as well. Again, Robert, thank you for that. I like this because it gives some ownership, and it sort of is well in line with the learning methods that you described, is to sort of train and then implement what you've learned is the most effective way of retaining that information. So what Robert's mentioned here is if someone is the victim of a malicious interaction, then that can be escalated, and that employee can be the person who can create the awareness among the departments. What better way to do it than that, in line with the learning methods that you detailed earlier? So I think that's a really valuable comment. What are your thoughts on that, Jannik?
Yeah, I really love the participation of Robert here. So if an incident is created because of an employee interaction, malicious way, first of all, we always need to think about that they are doing this not on an intention, and this is not their fault that there could be anything bad happen from how they behave. It is only on us to say, okay, I haven't foreseen this. I wasn't aware that there are possibilities out there. And maybe we can include those employees by finding a solution. Whether the laptop was stolen in the train, or whether the password was used also for private purposes, and on a private laptop it was getting hacked. And now we are having the same issue on the company level. So it was a lack of an awareness. Take them as they are and bring them to the next level. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I think that's kind of the end of the key questions that we've got. I think we're running out of time slightly as well. There are some questions, very good questions, that I think we could maybe save for putting on the end of a recording. So thank you for everybody who attended. There is a recording of this that will be made available, as mentioned earlier. If any questions come up in the meantime, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or otherwise with Jannik and myself at any time. More than welcome any questions. And maybe we'll do a part 2 if there's any cause for that. Next webinar I think we have is a super duper interesting one, for me anyway, because it's going to be with someone very credible, who's going to show us a live demonstration of a hack. So I hope he's not hacking into my bank account live on LinkedIn or anything like that, but it should be super interesting for us to see how these things happen. But for now, I'll thank you again, Jannik, for your time. Really appreciate you having you on here. We'll get the recording out to all attendees, and anybody who wasn't able to attend, we have your contact details. We'll get you a recording out. Also, finally, the reason we do this is really to just share the knowledge across the industry. We're not here to sell anything. I think I really want to make a big point of that. It is literally to engage with each other, and for the advancement of our industry, sharing knowledge, and all that good kind of stuff as well. So if anybody has suggestions for more topics, if any of the attendees would like to get behind the camera with me, I'm happy to entertain a conversation on another great topic. maybe something fresh, maybe we can revisit this again and do a part 2 with anybody else. So you're more than welcome to get in touch with me to discuss that. But for now, I'll leave everybody to have a fantastic day. Thank you once again, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.